Hey everyone, welcome. If you're just starting out with French, you know how that first unit can feel like, whoa, a lot is coming at you. But what if I told you the grammar behind your very first conversations really just boils down to 4 key ideas? Today, we're going to break down the essentials from a typical beginner's unit so you can get the confidence to start speaking, like, right now. So let's dive right in.
Okay, so see this little conversation here? This is our goal. I know, it looks pretty simple, but it's absolutely packed with the fundamental building blocks of French. By the end of this, you're not just going to read this dialogue, you're going to understand why every single word is the way it is.
So here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with the 2 most important verbs you'll ever learn. Then, we'll get into that whole masculine and feminine thing with nouns. After that, we'll see how to make things yours. And finally, we'll pull it all together to ask some simple questions. That's it. 4 steps, and you'll be building your own sentences. All right, first up, verbs. And we're starting with the big guns. I'm talking about the 2 absolute heavyweights of the French language. Seriously, once you get a handle on these 2, you've basically unlocked a huge chunk of the language. No joke.
So let's meet our 2 new best friends, être, which is to be, and avoir, which is to have. The key thing here isn't just what they mean, but when you use them. You use être when you're talking about who you are, what something is like, for descriptions. And avoir is for stuff you have, and, this is a big one, for saying how old you are. Okay, let's break down être, to be. For I, you say je suis. For you, in a casual sense, it's tu es. And for he or she, it's il est or elle est. See how the spelling is different for each one? That's called conjugation, and it's a super important thing in French. Next up, avoir, to have. And right off the bat, you see something interesting for I have. It's j'ai. That je gets squished into a J apostrophe because the next word, a, starts with a vowel. It just makes it sound smoother, After that, you've got tu as for you have, and a nice and simple il a or elle a for he or she has. Okay, so we've got our action words, our verbs. Now, let's talk about the things themselves, nouns. And in French, every single noun, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing, has this kind of secret identity. And that secret? It's called grammatical gender. Everything is either masculine or feminine. And here's the wild part. It usually has nothing to do with the object itself. A book, a table, a car, they're all either he or she, grammatically speaking. It's really just something you have to learn with every new word you pick up, and it changes the little words around it. And look, we've got the perfect classic example right here. For a boy, you say un garçon. That's masculine. For a girl, it's une fille. That's feminine. See the difference? It's that little word for a. It's un for masculine and une for feminine. Yeah, this chart lays it all out. A male friend is un ami, but a female friend becomes une amie. A male teacher is un professeur. That little word un or une is like your first clue. It tells you the gender of the noun right away. It's a fundamental pairing you're going to see everywhere.
All right, so now we can say a boy or a friend, but what if you want to say my friend or your address? Well, that brings us to the next piece of our puzzle, possessive adjectives.
And you guessed it, just like and une, these words also change depending on the gender of the thing you're talking about. For a masculine noun, it's mon, ton, or sont. For a feminine one, it's ma, ta, or sa. So you'd say mon ami, my male friend, but ma voiture, my car. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, there's one little twist.
Okay, let's go back to our dialogue for a sec. And what is your address? Wait a minute, the word address is feminine, so shouldn't it be ta address? What's going on here?
Aha, here it is. It's all because of this one special little rule. Basically, to stop 2 vowel sounds from bumping into each other and sounding weird, French just uses the masculine form, mon, ton, sont, in front of any noun that starts with a vowel, even if it's feminine. It's all about making the language flow and sound beautiful. So, it's ton adresse.
Okay, quick recap. We've got verbs, we get noun gender, and we know how to say something is mine or yours. So let's grab that final piece of the puzzle, actually using all this to start a real conversation by asking questions. The magic word here is quel, which means what or which. And at this point, you can probably guess the big rule, right? Yep, you got it. It has to match the gender of whatever you're asking about.
And this is a perfect side-by-side. The word for name, nom, is masculine. So we ask, quel est votre nom? But address is feminine. So the question changes to, quelle est ton adresse? See that? That little quel has an extra le on the end. That's your visual cue that you're talking about something feminine. And just like that, we're back to the beginning. But it shouldn't look the same to you at all. Now you can actually see the engine running underneath, right? You can spot the verbs, the possessives, the gender agreement in the questions. It all makes sense now. So let's wrap it all up. This is your starting toolkit for French grammar. You've got your two workhorse verbs, être and avoir. You know that all nouns are either masculine or feminine. You've got your possessives like mon and ma, and you know to watch out for those vowels. And finally, you have quel and quelle to start asking questions.
So there you have it. Those are the 4 big pillars of grammar you need to get started. You have the tools to introduce yourself, ask about someone else, and talk about the world in a simple way. The only question left is, what's the first thing you're going to say?